And opposite again from our statue, a memorial here, or design. Looks like some little sprinklers have been installed here. There's another unique pieces here of history, memorialized. This would have been part of this gate of this entrance. So we know exactly what these footprints representing here. The exact distance he has memorialized were. This is actually the location where Martin Luther once stood, and these shoes eventually here marking the location of its place, of its actual standing where he stood, and said at one point in time, "Here I stand and I can do no other." You gotta see an ancient walkway going right below the church. And I'm going one more time, circling around. This could have been eventually a roofed up area, part of the church here, because what we have in here is definitely sarcophags, coffins from vault or crypt. Whatever I can find out, I will do have the information for you. And also in here, just like anywhere else, we do have the whole full-scale church in a little smaller model of a design. I do have an entrance here, but we see if we are able to go full scale around. We have a St. Nicholas Chapel in here. Some big side columns. And this is a lot of renovation going on. Almost like some other church we know so well. This now will take us somewhat officially to the front entrance part here, which the majestic domes and towers are to the right, and we do have the other whole full couple there on the left. It's pretty much like you have two domes in one. And I know we do have a representational statue of a more modern bishop. And let's see if we can go all in. Unfortunately, due to these renovations here, it's the only type of entrance, and that's the way it looks. You don't get at this point in time much to see from the main entrance area, but we are in. And oh my God, so the minute you come to this entrance, you have a chapel to the right. There's also a chapel here, including confession booth. And you can definitely tell that temperatures in here have also immediately dropped. Nice, quite cooler temps. There's also a lot of renovation progress going on the inside. And we do have something very unique over here. It's a very dark plate, but I'm assuming this is the way it once originally would have appeared before any major destruction occurred around World War II, I assume. Some of those buildings here are a little bit newer than the 17th century. And it was a complex of a lot of small chapels and churches, almost like a chain, daisy chain all the way around by the dome being on the left and smaller churches being on the right, commemorated by chapels and surrounding churches on the left, which unfortunately, anything else, as we're seeing part at the back, maybe a few buildings are still standing, but anything on the left-hand side is not in existence anymore. What really seems to be amazing, we seem to have an all unrestricted access to anywhere you seem to be worth interested. And here we have another chapel. And we do also have several bishops, some artists, calling this their burial sites as well. And this is also a memorial stone, gravestone. And as I was walking over to the altar here of this chapel, we do have some more memorial stones. This actually being an actual grave, a memorial for Dom Capitular. Honorable. So he is laid to rest at this location. And unfortunately we do have some construction work we can see. And in memoriam, this also means an actual burial site. And there happen to be many chapels in here, and it looks like we have access to all of them. That'll be the location of the Probst. A confession chair. So one of the honorary Probst, we just came and saw his memorial, his grave. There's simply too much artwork that I can't get you all in details, but I'll try to make my best. This one showing Jesus' resurrection, laying to his tomb. So I kind of like walk it up from the rear. Very unique thing about this church that there is no particular front main entrance. You walk in and you have two types of main altars. Literally one in the front and one in the back. So a place where you would normally have an organ player, any types of instruments or orchestra. And this spot you will have therefore another chapel. So to give you a full scale of from one end to the other end. One set of origins, I believe, if not the main one, happens to be right on the middle of things. Here's one of the entrances that we passed by earlier. One of two. And the whole front of the majestic altar. I really must say, what a majestic piece it is for having to go into so much tragedy during its early constructural days. So this happened to be the entrance we came in, the second entrance right there. So these are the only way of entrances that you actually have. So you rather enter into a main entrance kind of a scale. And if I get this right, unlike another place we know in Speyer, the crypt of the Salian here in Worms, which is also the same family that we know in Speyer, which they have their ancestors buried in this crypt right here, which we know the grandfather from the main constructor of the cathedral in Speyer, Conrad the Red Herzog, was his grandfather. He was buried here in 955, or died in 955, was at least brought over here. We do know the church itself, the dome, was in early days of construction, so we did not have no building standing yet, but again, as crypts happen to be, they are the lowest and oldest part of each church, and we're going in. And we do have such an order here. This time they're all laying in front of me, so giving these persons the proper identification should be no problem. So we see in the upper area, this will be the section on the left, the lower area, which will be the section now to the right, and the numbers, and according to their positions in the sarcophagus. Having the lower on the right. The similarity that happened to be in here, which is similar to the one that we have in Speyer, these were not the original locations of those sarcophags. they were eventually later on in time in the earliest 19th to 20th century all brought into this location. I also have you the Salian Crypt of the walls of Cathedral, and some information right there. This is now the upper section, or the section that we have here to the left. This is definitely the lower room and rocks is definitely as low as you can get with as ancient of building material as you can have it in this castle. I mean, in this cathedral. We do have a castle nearby, and it's amazing to see that similarities between Worms and Speyer are just amazing. These rocks were probably laid down pretty much the same time where the Speyer Cathedral was laid in. This is the middle one here. So unfortunately, to misfortunes of the church, it fell down and had constructional issues and didn't really see its finishing until the late 11th century. As it happens to be, for the most part, we'll probably only have bones and remains in those sarcophagus. All the properties of clothing and ceremonial items like chapters and things they were holding in their possession while they were buried with have been brought into the local museums. I do have some inscription there in the back, definitely the medieval Latin style of this whole section here. Just inscribings are approximately about just as old as those sarcophagi as we're looking at. Here again the numerical orders, but I will have their names written on there accordingly. Well, it looks like I must have scared away some people again. Nice. Unbeatable as it happens to be, but now I got this whole cathedral to myself. I'm giving you, with every little bit juice left, every angle that I can bring in from the front of the altar. A little modernized microphones that I chose you there. This place is definitely in action as of nowadays. It's just going so up high that I love to hear the sound of this organ, that's for sure. That Speyer Cathedral can just barely maybe compete with this height. I believe it has it in most of location with heights definitely outnumbered. It's just very unique. You have altars from back to the back. So a little cough here and there to give you a sound sample. It can really stretch quite a bit. Giving you the little walk right below the origin. And once you go from altar to altar and you just go way up above and you see the heights of these unique style altars with even some glass in top, and I'm gonna be able to access this all the way. Reminds me a little bit like what we had there in Bad Wildungen in the Church of St. Nicholas. Beautiful glass designs on the windows. And some definite iconic pieces of the church ceremony, from the hammer, the iconic nail, to breaking of the bread, as the drinking of the wine, very symbolically collected. And somewhat very uniquely, as I really have to say it is, that you are looking from altar to altar. It's almost like you'll be able to hold two ceremonies in one. We do have occasionally relics in churches, like we've seen a whole room full of it in Speyer. And I believe there is a relic to be seen in this, which I'm not able to see the inscription. with every foot of item on the links. I would say we're about to depart the Cathedral of St. Peter.